George Provopoulos lived through the Greek crisis from the inside. He's the central bank governor in the country. He's here to discuss where the country is going now. Mr. Provopoulos, thanks for joining us. Markets a year ago were, well, a lot of them anyway, were convinced Greece was going to leave the euro. Are they still right to be a bit worried about Greece?
I think that the worst is over, and we can be more optimistic.
What's the evidence for that?
The evidence is that we have legislated everything included in the program, and the government is accelerating its pace towards implementing all elements of the program.
What's been quite impressive, of course, is the fiscal adjustment that Greece has gone through. But of course, the other big problem with Greece, I think you called it the twin deficit, was the complete lack of competitiveness in the Greek economy. Has that changed?
It has changed dramatically. Let me only say that in the years 2001, 2009, we lost in terms of cost competitiveness 31%. This is an enormous amount. As a result of the labor reforms which we implemented later, which were part of the program, we have been able up to now to regain 75% of this loss. And I'm expecting that by the end of this year, the total loss will have been fully recouped.
Another factor which we saw, which was quite dramatic last year, was the outflow of money from Greek banks, from Greek bank deposits. Has that money, how much of that money has now come back? I think it was 90 billion that went at the peak.
June was the worst month of that period. Up to June, we had lost 87 billion of deposits. Since June up to end of December, 15 billion of deposits have come back.
Where have they come from? From outside Greece or from under the mattress?
I would say
Greeks?
That most of this money comes from under the mattress, as you put it.
And what prospect is there of foreign money returning to Greece?
I think the prospects are quite good, given that the psychology is improving. I can cite a number of recent polls according to which the vast majority of the Greek people believe that Brexit is not any longer on the table, which means improved confidence.
Okay, what about getting money though for the foreign money, for the Greek banking system? That seems to be a particular problem. You want to get 10% of Greek banks owned, each bank to have 10% owned by foreigners. Is that achievable by April, the April deadline?
I think it can be achievable given that developments taking place in Greece are encouraging, are positive, and the banks which have to access the capital markets up to the end of April could do it.
But it's going to be difficult, that's not...
There will be difficulties, no doubt, but this is something which can, let's say, borrow from the increased credibility of the country.
Okay, somebody watching you here will say, we have unemployment of 26% in Greece. We have an economy that's going to contract by 4%. Isn't Greece going to suffer all sorts of social tension and escalating tensions?
Indeed, for this year, we're expecting a decline in GDP between 4.5%. And from this point of view, one should expect that things will go negative, in a negative direction. But given that the psychology has been improved, I think that things will be quite different. For this year, the conditions of creating a sustainable growth path are being laid down.
Mr. Provopoulos, thank you very much.
Thank you very much too.